And we are live once again here on the GRAPPL YouTube for another Wednesday night live, and a very newsworthy Wednesday night, as we have an American on, which is helpful, and in such news days when it's lots going on. Something called ESPN. I don't know. We'll figure it all out as we go, fellow Brits. But yeah, good to see it busy. Hopefully, you can hear me and can see me well. Little delay there, just getting things set up on Patreon. It's still buggy. Let me know if anybody's watching along in the Patreon chat. I'll try and do my best to keep an eye on everything going on over there. But yeah, good to be live again. Thought it was a great spotlight this week. I know I always say that, but I think this week I'm going to single out Matty, because I usually give him grief for pretty much everything, and he gives me grief back. It's kind of our dynamic and how things go. But I thought he did a cracking job this week, breaking down the SummerSlam booking in general, Triple H's booking regime, which, according to Matty, is over now after SummerSlam. That was the end. Apparently not. You've seen him doing the rounds today. There he is still knocking around, unfortunately, as our mate Paul Levesque. But no, I thought Matty was brilliant breaking that down. Obviously, we had the more serious matter of talking the Brock Lesnar story, which again, I think Matty will probably say himself is not his forte. And I know he's a little bit nervous about talking about that type of stuff. But yeah, thought it was an incredible job by him. Carry job, as I was recording for the first time in this Bangkok apartment, which I think I've got set up now exactly how I like it. Expect possible technical issues as we get set up this week. But yeah, Matty was on sterling form. But yeah, obviously, before we get our guests on, just to let you know what's going on over here, we have had a slight change to the schedule coming up this month. And part of that is the fact that JP is still on his holidays. Garrett's birthday is coming up as well. But we got the great Liam, also known as LF Doom, jumping on with us on Sunday for our WWF UK Rampage 91 show with me, Matty, and Liam doing that. I thought Liam would be perfect for it. It's a bit of 90s. And it's the UK, and they're two things that just make me think Liam. So it might be like an unofficial episode of the time, that one. So I'm excited for that. We've got the AJ Styles show coming up next week. Don't call it a mixtape. Don't call it a deep cut. We need a new category for these ones where it's like one name, one career. Think of it like the Sabu show we did, or something like that. Should I give away the matches? I've been putting them together today. I feel like it's going to be controversial because we're trying to cover the man's entire career. I have found, to be honest, going through his entire career, that he's been consistent his whole career, but like the actual peaks are quite clustered. Like there's a lot of contenders from 2005. There's a lot of contenders from his New Japan run 2015, and there's a couple of contenders from when he first got to WWE, well, 2014, 2015, then with WWE, and then try to pick a few of the ones in there. If there's anybody out there who's like a true sicko, who's like an NWA wildside sicko, I know there's not many of them out there, but I know they exist. I'm trying to nail down at least one match for the sickos from there. Maybe one came up with Air Paris. That would be a good one to do. Or a three-way with Sabu came up as a possibility as well. But yeah, I think I've narrowed down the ROH one to the Paul London match. Hopefully that's not controversial. Low-key for sickos. We're going to do the NWA TNA four-way match, obviously with Jerry Lynn, Psychosis, and Low-key involved there as well. We've got to do a lot of peak TNA. So yeah, Samoa Joe, as I can see in the chat there, you were mentioning Abyss. We'll definitely be doing that match. We can't justify the Unbreakable three-way again, as we have talked about that one multiple times on multiple podcasts. But that'll be on Sickos. But, we'll get some Samoa Joe in. We'll get Abyss in, like I say, and we'll get, I think, maybe the three-way rematch from 2009, just to get some later TNA. I know it's only 4 years later, but I didn't want to just do 2005, so hopefully that's not a controversial take. And then, yeah, New Japan, Tanahashi, Minoru Suzuki on Sickos, because I just want to talk about that, and I know JP does too. And then WWE, Roman and Cena kind of writes itself. Sickos, Boneyard match, Brock Lesnar match in there as a Sickos match. Probably we'll talk about, depending on everyone's mood, to talk about that. Bit of Rev Pro in there on Sickos, or Will Ospreay match is probably the lead for that. A six-man tag with the Young Bucks and ACH and Cedric Alexander from his ROH return is a personal Sickos one that I'm throwing in there as well. So hopefully not too controversial. I think the Sickos will end up being twice as long as the as the main list that we'll end up doing. But yeah, a few suggestions there. Yeah, Mr. The LAJ, Styles and Flair versus Abyss and Hogan. I think anything that's got Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan involved, I think we are skipping along past it. Yeah, Carl saying, yeah, if we are doing Wild Card, there's got to be a para. So should have known Carl would be an NWO Wild Card guy. He said he's seen a bit of it, but he's not a sicko. Paul says, is it a deep tape? Deep cut / mixtape. Yeah, maybe we could call it that. AJ versus Kurt from 2010. See, we did the Kurt Angle show with Connor. I was close to picking one, and I actually haven't triple checked which of the matches we've done in the past because we've hit that John and Wayne point where we're repeating ourselves now and stuff. So I tried to avoid that. But yeah, maybe we could come up with a few others if anyone's got any last minute suggestions before I put the graphic out tonight. But yeah, I think we've got the makings of a great show there, and obviously GRAPPL lads will be coming up as well as Simon's King of the Mountain show. If anyone's got any suggestions for the poll we can do tonight, let me know. I'll throw it there in the chat as well. But yeah, just to catch up with the chat. Yeah, good to see Simon knocking around there. All the usual suspects there, Andy, Carl, patron wise, Walter as well. Good to see Walter in the chat there as well. Simon giving me grief again for starting. I mean, I basically started on time this week. Hopefully you enjoyed the little hold music. Yeah, people agree. Matty was great on Spotlight this week. Good to see Steph in the chat as well. But there we go. Looks pretty busy out there. But yeah, we'll be live on the Twitch as well if that starts running too. But yeah, let me know if the Patreon is running well as well. But yeah, we've got plenty to get into, so I will get my guest on now, who will be joining us. I was going to give him the big introduction this week, as I don't know if I could say he was never banned from GRAPPL, but he was banned from Cage Match, so I think that's a good introduction. I think he's also banned from Matty's house. I'm pretty sure, based on some of his reviews he's been writing on Voices of Wrestling over the last while, which is part of the reason I wanted to get him in. The poison I wanted to inject into GRAPPL after a weekend of doing shows with Matty, but no, it's all love, and I'm sure Matty will be paying attention to this one and loving it as well, even if he'll be mad about some of the takes that come out. But yeah, great to have on here on this GRAPPL Live, making his GRAPPL Live debut, but not his GRAPPL debut. It's from Voices of Wrestling and everywhere else. It's Sue Williams. Hi, mate.
Hello. So a little pulling back the curtain on my side. So we've moved in the last week. Williams Manor has basically moved down the street about 10 minutes. But you asked me to come on, and I said yes, of course. I'd always hop on with you, Benno. Always hop with JP. Always love coming on with you guys. And then about 20 minutes ago, I realized, oh wait, I don't have any of my streaming stuff up. Like, I don't have I haven't pulled the computer that I use for like recording, and I don't have my mic and my headphones all set up.
Yeah, I think I was wondering if it was me. Sorry, mate. I don't think you're. I think you're telling us that your headphone and mic were just set up. I don't think they're coming through properly. We're not getting you. We're getting you very low. It's super loud from a submarine. So that's clear. Yeah, we got you muffled. Oh, that's good then. I was worried it was me. It's fine. We can figure it out. But that's the point of GRAPPL Live. Thank you everybody in the chat for letting us know it's all coming through now. We'll give you a second to get set up, mate.
Okay, how about that? How's that?
Sounds better. You're a bit echoey, but it does sound better. Let us know in the chat how Suit is sounding.
Good. It sounds better on my side because you were crackling up, and I just assumed it was yours. I just decided to blame you.
It's usually my fault. It's usually the GRAPPL lads. It's usually us who are fucking up when it comes to text type stuff. I've got an excuse though. I've moved to another new country. I'm in a new apartment. I'm a little bit worried about annoying my neighbours. That's why we started a little bit early tonight. There we go. Everyone's saying it. It sounds better. It's part of the fun. If you're not, I remember I always say that. We always go back to it. That me and you first. I was gonna say you were new to GRAPPL Live. But obviously, I reckon you were probably the first spotlight guest that wasn't Martin Bushby. And I count Martin Bushby, obviously. We love Martin Bushby. But I was already podcasting with Martin Bushby, so it didn't feel like a guest. And you were the first person, I feel like, in the Joe and JP days where we broke in and tried having somebody new on the show. So that would have been 2017, 2018 or so. So, yeah, you've been dealing with our unprofessionalism since then, mate. And here we are in 2025, and we still got you.
Yeah, we had that infamous... progress recording where my sister kept coming in the room and I kept asking to pause because I was. Now they're just hanging out and I'm like, if they run in here, they'll be fine. They just want
It's a feature of GRAPPL now. That's what I was gonna say. Like, yeah, going back to that show where I think we probably recorded it in about 4 goes because I had stuff going on. I think the cat pulled the lead out at one point. I think my internet crapped out, and then on your end, like you say, yeah, you had your little sister jumping in. I think your mum was coming in and out of the room as well. But that's just the regular spotlight with me and JP now. Like I feel like GRAPPL Charlie should be on like the Patreon money. It's pretty much a given each show that we're gonna have some kind of run in, or one of the kids is gonna have a hot take on whatever's going on in the wrestling world.
There you go. I mean, look, I've not asked about their thoughts on the G1. You know, maybe they think maybe they're Shota Umino girls. I don't know.
You've been catching up today, haven't you? Been trying to get the G1 in.
Yeah, because it's been a busy couple weeks because I went to All In. I've been kicking in a new job, moved last week, so I haven't watched any New Japan since Dominion until yesterday. And so, you know, I watched the Desperado Kosei Fujita title matches, which were both very good. And then I've just been plugging away at this G1. You know, no Evil, no Ren Narita, obviously.
It's a good rule in life.
Wouldn't watch them if you strap me to the chair. You know, Ren Narita could come out. He could read my home address on the screen, and I would never know. So it's just getting through it, having some fun, enjoying some matches. You know, when you skip all the bad stuff, New Japan's pretty good.
I mean, Matty says that about WWE though, so like, you know, we don't want to. Because if you skip all the bad stuff, those $29.99 WWE PLEs will be like 3 minutes long. I think somebody worked that out today. I'm sure I saw somebody say it. It was like if you worked it out, it'd be like $5 per match based on the current exchange rate with WWE. Or if you're just a really big Solo fan, like Matty is, you're paying $29.99 just to see Solo Sikoa shit the bed in a cage match, or shit the bed in whatever match they're putting him in at this point. Like, I don't know. I think the days of value for money with WWE, or maybe they'll just go the opposite way and they'll copy AEW, and we'll get like 10-hour pay-per-views, or we'll get, you know, full-on weekenders every time, so everybody gets their money and get their money's worth.
It's gonna be interesting to see how a decade-long, how like a generation or 2 generations of WWE fans get used to being like, oh, I have to like pay for this now. Like, it's very easy when it's cheap, but now it's like, oh. And that's kind of why I've been like, with the AEW pay-per-views, I'm a little more lenient to them, because they are in a world where the market leaders basically giving their big shows away. So they have to come like from a different angle and give like more and go bigger. So that's always kind of been like my thought of it. It's like, you got to convince people now to spend $50 on these shows, and now Paul Levesque has to convince people to spend $30 on his. So
will they try any harder? That's my first question for you, mate. Like, what the that's just. It's unbelievable. I mean, I should say, we should rewind. Like, obviously, we'll talk G1 more later, but like, we have to talk this like front of house. It is obviously the big thing, and that's why we got you used to be our progress progress correspondent, now our American TV subscription correspondent, mate. Like, can we like, for the Brits out there, like I guess we can get our heads around it when it comes to Sky Sports and the prices that you have in the UK. Is it a thing in America where, like, I don't know, like over here, like everybody knows somebody who can give them like a cracked Fire Stick, who can, or everyone's got like a dodgy dad or a dodgy uncle, who can set that up and set the IPTV up and figure it out for the football each season. I was offered, to be fair, out here in Thailand, you can get it about $5 a month, all of the Premier League games and all of the possible packages legally. But I've still got that baked into me as like the best option all the time to go the illegal route. Like, are there options like that for people who don't want cable, or is it just a case of, unless you know what you're doing and you know to get to fucking Cracked or whatever those websites are, or you know how to use Watch Wrestling, or you know how to use, like, I assume there's like an NFL equivalent out there. Like, is that same cottage industry exists for the people who are just looking at it going, I am not paid. Like, even if you wanted ESPN, you know, what's it called, DTC, this new service that
I think it's just called ESPN.
Right, okay. Just calling it that. So yeah, the direct to consumer is what the shorthand I see, or Meltzer using today. Like, is that like, you know, there's going to be a lot of people who will maybe consider that for the other sports, but that probably already got to price people out. And yeah, I think wrestling fans know the way around stuff, but like to the general public, is it an like normally done thing?
It is done where there are like, cracked fire sticks and things like that where you can like get around like, the paywalls and things like that. The thing with this streaming service is that it's a cable package that's basically only going to affect people who've cut the cord. Because my understanding of it is if you have ESPN, there's going to be a way where you can log in through your cable provider and you're going to just get it for no extra charge. So if you have cable, then you're good. You just got to know what your login for your cable company is and you'll be in. So this is something that really only affects people who've cut the cord. And that I'm not saying that's not a sizable amount of people, but that amount of people, how much are those people willing to pay $30 just for WWE? Like, are they, the WWE fans of this generation don't really seem like sports fans, the way they kind of deal with releases, being like, oh man, like, we're in training camp for NFL right now. People are getting cut every day, and you don't blink an eye. But WWE fans though, they'll be like, oh man, like, we want truth. How'd that go? We want Cross. We'll see how that works out. It's like it's gonna be very interesting to see, like, see how much people value their WWE, how much they value their PLEs. And I'm not sure they value it at $30. This is the problem going back all the way to the network. You've got all your shows $10 a month baked in. Like, this is the point I remember people bringing up all the way back then, which is just, if you go this route, it's going to be very hard to go back. And all I remember is JBL on commentary calling people stupid for buying pay-per-views instead of getting the network. And now it's like, well, now you got to get a network.
Yeah. And that was the thing, wasn't it? The thinking at the time was, pay-per-view is dead. Everyone's moving to streaming, and then, look at AEW, very much proven pay-per-view isn't dead. Look at UFC, proven over time, pay-per-view isn't dead. I mean, I suppose for like the Americans out there, they could have gone even more extreme. Obviously, with UFC, you have to get the subscription, and then you have to pay for the extra as well for like the pay-per-view for the individual event itself. But like, yeah, it just feels like that most of my Twitter, like just scrolling through today and seeing the Americans out there, it's everyone saying that, I'm either going to find dodgy means to try and watch it, or I'm just not going to watch it. And obviously that's the accumulation of everything else. Look all around us at what's happened this week, obviously, with Brock coming back and just the general booking going into SummerSlam. But like, it does feel like it'd be a breaking point for most normal people. We've always kind of had that attitude out in the UK. Like, us, we complain, we know we moan. Half of the reason we bitch and we moan and we complain, we know we've got a charm life. We know we get like the pay-per-views a lot cheaper, but for us it's the fact that we got to watch it at like 5-6 in the morning or like whatever time it is, and it just makes us more cranky out there. But we always forget the fact that we've always had the cheaper route, whether it was Sky Sports or BT Sports or TNT Sports or wherever. There was always a route. Then obviously the network, now Netflix, and even with AEW, it's felt a little bit odd that we have to pay for the individual AEW pay-per-views. It does feel a little bit foreign to us, but still we get it at that cheaper price, so it kind of makes sense. So I think there's like maybe an upper limit to what like a UK fan will pay, and the companies seem to know that, or like for international fans they seem to know. Whereas with in the good old USA, it just feels like that no price is too high, and like that's, I guess, that rather than the lesson that they thought they learned around the time of the launch of the network, like it's recognition of the world that they're in now, where they're just gonna hope that like hardcore WWE base are gonna put their hand in the pocket, are gonna pay these premiums. And I don't know, it feels a little bit like they're treating it like it is UFC, like the thing TKO is thinking, well, we look at what we charge for UFC, surely we can claw some of that money back through WWE as well.
Right. And we did get lucky in that regard, that it's not like a bonus price on top of the subscription price.
Yeah.
like because the subscription price for it is $30 a month, which it gets you all of ESPN. ESPN Plus, it's still that's own separate thing. So to be clear, this is not ESPN Plus, which already exists. This is
it's a new service, isn't it?
Yeah, this is going to be ESPN, all the channels. You're going to get Monday Night Football. It's basically like an ESPN cable package for people who stream. So this is what's going to WWE is going to be on, whereas UFC's on ESPN Plus with the payment and the subscription price and the payment on top. So
do you think, like, when we say that about like piracy and stuff, like the chat saying there, VPN usage is going to go up, isn't it? All your favorite wrestling podcasts are going to be sponsored by all the VPN. It's going to be like, again, the early days of the network, because we were on the outside looking in when the network launched in the US, and every hardcore fan I knew was just desperate to give WWE the money and would use like Uno Telly or all those DNS services that existed at the time. I was one of those people. I think the reverse is going to happen, because you hear a lot of it, people using Fight to watch Dynamite on Wednesdays, things like that, and finding the way through. I think that's gonna probably explode within the wrestling fan base of people going, especially like considering the back catalog problem. That's the other thing, isn't it? You're paying $29.99 and you're not getting the back catalog either. Like that presumably is going to be another big deal for them somewhere. Maybe that does land on Netflix. Maybe that sticks with Peacock. I think I've seen some of the talk being today, but like, it doesn't even include that, So if you want to go back and watch those old shows, or you want to like us do the old podcast, you're gonna struggle, aren't you? You're gonna have to figure out a way. It's like, to be fair, even now, like I've got to say, it's like as a lesson. How many months in are we to Netflix now? 8 months into the year, and that back catalogue hasn't really moved much since they first put it up there. I was made up. All the old In Your Houses are on there. The Raw Vault is on there, but it cuts off at a certain point. None of the WWE pay-per-views are. None of that stuff is there either. But at least we've got some of it. Like, this is going to have none of it, so presumably that goes somewhere else as well.
Yeah, I mean, what has grown, though? Those Vault channels on YouTube, the WWE one, WCW one, like, they knew this was coming, and they just that's why they got started on that stuff. And it's because for us the archives have a value, so we could go back and like watch stuff and enjoy stuff. But those, like, the vaults aren't very popular. They never were. They weren't popular with the WWE network by itself, and it wasn't going to get any more popular on Peacock to like the general public. How many people in the general public are going to watch a 1989 episode of Worldwide or whatever? Like, it's not, it just doesn't have that mass appeal, and taking all the time to upload it and scrub the old music just isn't worth it for, these outside companies. So, we're not going to get that anymore, which sucks. Like, I regret not using the network more. Like, I used it a lot. I followed along with a lot of podcasts and stuff, but I do regret not using it, because it was easy and it was like right there, and it was all like easily labeled, not like Peacock now where it's like separated by seasons and stuff, and it's just not intuitive in the wrestling way. It's kind of just like set up as another TV show, and now it's just going away again, which Rich Craig from Voices of Wrestling, he's always banged the drum of WWE should just dump all that stuff on like one of those fast channels, like on Roku channel, something like TNA does.
Yeah, like TNA does,
like a TNA 24/7. Like, he's always been banging the drum of just put all that stuff on one of those channels, get whatever pennies you can, and just let it rock, because you're not gonna get anything from it all just rotting in the vault.
It's always like with that stuff, it's always been like the idea of it, isn't it? We all like you said there, the reality of it. We like the idea of having it like at a finger's touch. You could go back, you could do a little project and watch all the ECW hardcore TVs or something like that, and then you end up not really doing it. But what they're selling is the idea. What they're selling is, and again, if this deal doesn't involve, obviously it doesn't include like the NXT PLEs. I'm not sure what the money value is for them, but you could put together like a lower level package that includes the old stuff, that includes that, and sell it to Pluto TV, or like sell it to I think Plex is a legitimate company now. They're not just again a dodgy box company. Like, there might be a provider somewhere like that might take it. Like it could just be a few more pennies.
Yeah, I do. I am glad you brought up the NXT show. Like, there's no NXT shows involved in this deal, at least not initially.
Nope.
So do wonder, like, you wonder how the the counter programming is going to go with AEW now that they don't have the NXT shows to pop on there. You wonder how. Like
there'll be the specials, won't they? Because it does say like some of them will just. It doesn't say which ones, but select shows will be on regular broadcast ESPN.
Yeah, it did.
So maybe they could do that. Maybe that could be them. Maybe that could be Saturday night's main event in a couple of years. Maybe that could be stuff like TV specials like that.
I do think that's more likely to be summertime because, like, the initial thought is WrestleMania, get the biggest show in front of the biggest audience. My thought is, we're in the dead of summer right now between the NBA finals and the start of football season. ESPN just fucked off the MLB package. So there could be a thing where it's maybe not WrestleMania, but SummerSlam or like, one of the B pay-per-views in the summertime end up on ESPN or ESPN2 instead of, whatever. I don't even know what would be on right now. Instead of whatever like recap show they already have.
Yeah. Like there's a few people in the chat there saying like, Hogan saying here, is he on an island thinking $39.99 isn't a bad deal per month for WWE pay-per-views as well as $29.99 as well as the additional sport coverage on ESPN. If that includes Red Zone, which is obviously a big story with them acquiring ownership of that could be worth it for some people. Walt in there, who's obviously New York based, saying he sees it as good value as well. NBA coverage involved too, Hogan points out as well. Yeah, there's an argument there, I suppose, for some.
It is like if there's a value to you from like getting the whole sports package as well, then it's a pretty good value getting all that stuff as well. But my mindset is how many WWE fans are going to share that mindset? How many WWE fans are going to be like, hey, I want to watch, the NBA finals this year, and then I can pop on, whatever show that would be on that month. And by the way, like this is $30 a month, but there's only 10 PLEs. Like there's going to be months where you're
that shocked me. That I thought there were more than 10. Like, if you held the gun to my head, I would have went, I reckon there's about 12, maybe 13 a year. I wouldn't have gone with 10. I wouldn't have guessed
there's the gap between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. Yeah. That's always more than a month. And then they didn't run one in December. So
I guess it's that, isn't it?
Yeah, there's always going to be a couple months where you're paying for this thing but not getting a PLE. And that's where the gap would be bridged by like an NXT show. But those are being piecemealed out as well. And I think that's another point I wanted to bring up is WWE, again, splitting off another piece of their product in America off to, another, buyer. Like you've got Raw on Netflix, SmackDown's on cable, NXT's on broadcast. Now you've got the PLEs. I always feel gross saying that. But you've got them on ESPN now. And it's just like, man, like how it's a lot of work keeping up with like where you're going with all this stuff.
Yeah. Do you think like from the WWE point of view, like obviously the big thing here is like just, allegedly a 1.6 times like increase on obviously on the Peacock deal. If you count inflation and that, as I know our friend Will Cooling has been doing, it's maybe not back impressive, but it's still like an increase on the deal. It's still talking a ridiculous amount of money here. Like do you spin this as like from a business point of view? Is this a positive? Is this a surprise in a positive way? Is it a negative? Like does it show maybe like as we've all kind of been alluding to this year that like it was a given, I think, early in the year that Netflix was going to take on WWE once the Peacock deal expired, and like that hasn't come to fruition. Does it mean Netflix weren't as interested as they thought they would? Do you think Netflix could have looked at the numbers of what they're seeing internationally and gone, it's probably not worth that price point? Like it's hard to say right now as far as like what investors are thinking. I think there's a slight dip in the WWE numbers. I think they're down about 3% TKO right now, which is hardly statistically gigantic at the minute, but we'll see where it goes. Like, yeah, I mean, it's going to be spun in both directions, isn't it? But like, what's your reaction to it from a business point of view, from a TKO point of view?
Well, they're just trying to just squeeze every dollar they can out of everything. And that's from that perspective, number went up, line went up.
Yeah.
Percentage is black, not red. So, they're happy with it, obviously. Wall Street doesn't seem to be as positive on that as, because you brought up the stock going down this morning with the news. I just, you do wonder with hopping on a new streamer and just, paywalling everything on this new thing. You do wonder like how you're banking on the success of this new streamer. And if it doesn't work out, then it could be like, well, we're looking for something else in a few years, We're, maybe taking a pay cut to hop on Netflix again. Like the same thing they did with Raw when their deal ended, but they didn't have there was 3 or 4 months where they didn't have a home for Raw between the USA deal ending and Netflix starting. So they had to
weird.
do USA on the cheap and then give SmackDown another hour for a couple months this year. So it is a risk, and the market doesn't seem to think it's a good one. But if it does take off, and if ESPN, the streamer side, does work out for them, then hey, you're in with ESPN, you're in with the worldwide leader of sports, you're getting Sports Center coverage on your show, on your big shows.
Yeah.
So hey, it's something.
Yeah, apparently they're going to be setting up, aren't they, the Sports Center desk at the PLEs. That'll be an interesting thing to see. Rosenberg might get himself some FaceTime on there. All the usual cuds. The game's gone in it. I've seen people saying that. Obviously, ESPN used to be a serious thing, mate. It's not going to be going forward. We'll see what that coverage looks like.
It's gonna be even more embarrassing to be a wrestling fan. You're gonna have Bronson Reed out there with Roman Reigns' shoes around his neck. Although I did like that angle, though. I did like him just snatching Roman Reigns' shoes. That was funny.
Yeah, it's a thing we do here too. Yeah, you often see them telephone lines with with training.
Yeah,
it was a big thing in the 90s.
Yeah.
Trainees hung down.
But there's a lot of angles to go from on this, and we hit a lot of them. But ultimately, it's just more money. They're churning again, and we're gonna, I am interested though that Netflix did, they either didn't want it or didn't see it was as worth it. My eye is twitching.
It seemed inevitable, didn't it? It really did seem like it was very, very but it just felt like an I needs to be uttered and a couple of T's need to be crossed and underlined on the contract. Just everyone just assumed it, didn't they? It was like, okay, all it is the Peacock deal. That's the hold up. Once that's done, of course, everything's going over to Netflix. I think there's a story within the story there. Yeah, because the PLEs, if you look at the the Kadoom rankings or however that's pronounced, the pay-per-views don't usually make the top 10. Raw stick in the bottom half. But WrestleMania, I think, made it. I think one of the nights of SummerSlam made it. Yeah.
But everything else is you see that hit from the US numbers, and it's just you do wonder and that's a story because Netflix has that out. They have that out after what, 5 years, is it?
That's right, yeah. 4.5. If we're counting. We'll do a GRAPPL timer. We'll throw it on the screen. Doom is coming. It's like AEW, isn't it? It's like the day after AEW announced the big deal with Mark. It was like, but in 3 years. I was like, come on. Let's let them celebrate for a while before we start dooming. Come on, hang on.
Can we have a month?
Yeah.
Just give us a month.
But yeah, obviously Walter's saying there, Netflix and ESPN in direct competition with Monday Night Football and Raw. I guess that could be a factor as well.
Yeah, because Netflix is on Raw. There you go. That's
Stephen A. Smith on pre-shows. Are you wishing for that?
Oh God, I I don't need more Stephen A.
Think Triple H knows who he is? I bet he doesn't.
No.
Mm.
Like he knows McAfee because McAfee shows up, but he doesn't
Yeah.
know Stephen A. Smith. But God, Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee doing, the vapid WWE conversations for these pre-shows. Just
Hey, they could get Joe Budden. He was front row for Raw this week, wasn't he? He was there.
He
Rory and
was.
Maul were there with a few throws back for SummerSlam. That podcast for you continues, but like that could be a thing. He could work his way in.
Oh, there you go.
Pause.
I won't be watching them, but hey.
Any other big picture takes on WWE ESPN? Obviously, at time of we're live tonight. It's obviously we're just kind of reacting to it as it comes through, and the different think pieces come through. And like you say, we're kind of live monitoring the stock to see if there is more of a dip or the market does react in a more negative way. But yeah, any other big takes you had on it?
No, nothing changes for me. I've got ESPN, so I can still watch these shows and review them whenever I want to for Voices of Wrestling. So It's just it is going to be interesting seeing if that price point chips away at some of the cord cutters.
That's it. Well, we'll see as it goes. But I was glad to hear though that obviously it's not going to affect your coverage of WWE, because as I noted on your intro, your reviews on Voices of Wrestling have got increasingly spicy, I reckon, over the last year. I actually felt bad for you at the weekend because it felt like you were fine. You were kind of like, didn't hate that main event. It wasn't too. Oh wait, what happened? Oh wait, who's coming out now? And then it was like, it ended like all of the other reviews tend to. But yeah, you tend to get yourself in hot water with the Fed fans. I feel like me, you have to turn those notifications off at times. So I'm glad that's gonna keep coming. I'm sure there's Reddit with a W, and there's other corners of the internet that are absolutely delighted with the news that you will continue to be Voices of Wrestling's WWE correspondent.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not me, it's Sean Cedor. So, like, we're the only two. Like, I was in the Voice of Wrestling.
The ones who are willing to do it.
Yeah, like I was in the VOW Slack, and I was like, all right, I've got work on Saturday night. So if anybody wants to review it, then review the Saturday show, then just, it's yours for the taking. And then I just added Sean, and it was just like, yeah, there you go.
What were your broad takes on SummerSlam this weekend? What's the temperature coming out of that weekend for you?
I couldn't watch Saturday. I did pop on some of the main event while I was closing up, and it went exactly how pretty much everybody knew it was gonna go. So we all got work, Benno, with the thing we knew that was happening 20 minutes after the angle. But the Sunday show was just very. There was a lot, man. There were a lot of gimmick matches. I didn't hate everything. The TLC match was a lot of people putting in effort and doing a lot. It was a popcorn match.
They can only be so bad.
Yeah. And then the main event, I really did love that match. Like, I went 4.5 stars on it. I was gonna give it a legacy 4. I was gonna just be like, all right, they worked hard. Cena looks good, 4 stars. And then they came up on Cody's elevator with Cena having Cody on his shoulders. I was like, nah, this actually rocks. So I was like,
I hated that so much. I was good that you liked it. I was looking forward to your. I was going to throw flame emojis at you when you rigged that one up.
No, that was just like, all right, this is awesome. I'm enjoying this. Like, it's the most fun I've had watching a WWE match since the Puerto Rico show, the legendary Bad Bunny Damian Priest match. I am serious. That's I still think that's their match of the decade. Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest.
Says something. I mentioned there Rory and Maul, they went to SummerSlam, and apparently Maul left after he saw a Jelly Roll powerbomb Logan Paul. He's like, that's enough for me, that's enough wrestling. And that man's got bad takes. That's a good take. I've got to give him that, to be fair. Maybe I need to rewind back on some of my other thoughts on him.
Everybody's got a line, and that's a reasonable one. I've heard Jelly Roll's name more times than I ever have before in my life because everybody's talking.
Is he a big
about
fucking star? We don't know this out. It's like same thing with Bad Bunny. Like there was a lot of like obviously our part of the world like Bad Bunny he isn't a name in the UK at least. Let's say that. And then it took people to point out, look at his Spotify, look how fucking gigantic he is around the world, and people kind of slowly accepted it. I don't know if Jelly Roll's like name recognition is as big in the UK or as worse. We know about Swiss rolls. We don't know about Jelly Rolls. Like yeah. I presume he's a big name. He seems a big name. He got a big name reaction.
I can't tell you that I've ever listened to one of his songs on purpose. That is just, but you know, country's hot right now in the US.
I assume they're bad. Like it's just a guess, but they're probably bad.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, as far as like the rest of SummerSlam goes, there was some stuff I liked, but you know, there was also, you know, the typical stuff. Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria was a super long, overbooked mess. Like there was a point where I was like, okay, you know, she got out of the zip ties, you know, when she was supposed to. Now we can do this finish. And then they just kept going, and then Bayley showed up, and we had like, you can't. How long was that match? Because it felt like 35, but I know it wasn't. Like and it's just like, you're gonna do that finish for that, and it's just like, ugh. And then I don't remember what else was on the Dom and AJ. That was, you know, Eddie's been.
I didn't expect a 5-star match, but it was below even expectation for me, that one.
Like Dom, I don't care about Dom. He's a gimmick. Fine, whatever.
No,
like
he's got a role. I think you can have that. You can have that on the card. Like I think that's okay. Like
sure,
this was not the best example of that.
He can be like match 2 of like a real card, but like I don't know. I just didn't get anything out of the Eddie stuff. He died in 2005. Like, come on,
20 years ago.
Let the man rest.
To win around.
They were running angles like the next week. Like, good Lord, let him rest.
That's my hottest worst take that Marty will often bring up. That I do feel like Eddie Guerrero is the greatest wrestler of all time. That is also somehow overrated by people who've only seen like it's the people who've like only lived the Attitude Era through like recaps of DX and the Tank and, you know, Austin with the beer gun and like the little highlights on Raw. I feel like there's a generation of people who didn't actually really see Eddie Guerrero. Maybe they saw like a couple of Eddie Guerrero segments from like the mid-2000s WWE. Maybe they've seen some of their favorite wrestlers do Eddie Guerrero tributes, but I don't think they've seen enough Eddie Guerrero to come out with the strong opinions that ultimately are right. So I suppose it's a losing battle to even fight it, but like, yeah, I feel like there's definitely there's a slither of like that WWE fan base who like they've been told he's a legend so long, like they're just going along with it, but they haven't actually seen it with their own eyes.
And they aren't going back on the archives to see it. But anything they've seen Eddie EDDIE. They haven't seen EDDY.
Meltz will tell you how to properly spell that in the Observer. But I should point out we've got a super chat there from Tazora saying income and budget cuts ridiculous. Like that feels like the most likely. I don't know if that's a scoop or not. I was just having a quick check in case any news has come through. I haven't seen it, but it wouldn't shock you, would it? You know, obviously that not that they weren't paying Brock, but you know, Brock's a hefty salary that they're gonna have to continue to justify to pay going forwards. Obviously, yeah, somebody asked before. The financials are supposed to be coming out, aren't they? This week, so that is the quarterly is supposed to be today. So usually the Friday following is usually a budget cut day. It wouldn't surprise you, would it?
Yeah, we'll see. You know, we'll hear about it on the weekend show. You know, apparently Karrion Kross's deal is coming up this weekend, which
that might turn into a shoot.
Hopefully, will end one of the most baffling stories in wrestling. Like I realized that guy sucked like a month into his TNA run. Like I was like. I remember him debuting, and it was like, ooh, they might have a guy here. He's got some presence. And then the bell rang, and it's like, oh. And that was like 10 years ago. I think Lucha Underground was still running. Like enough. Like, they know he sucked. Like, he never wrestled. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, wow, he's getting some pops on Main Event. I don't know where Main Event airs, but he's getting pops on it. And it's like... what are we doing? Where's your taste?
Like, I saw on. R-Truth was interviewed this week, and he was talking about like how he'd shaved his like 3 remaining dreads off, like for the role, and how seriously he took it and all of that. And I almost wanted to quote tweet it, just be like, "Who's this? Who's this guy?" Like I feel like that's Triple H whenever he texts him. Who this? Who's like? It's just like that was the big fucking story 6 weeks ago. What happened to that? It's gone.
Like Cody Rhodes pinned John Cena on that pay-per-view to set up the SummerSlam main event, and nobody cared. Just like how Cody beat John Cena at SummerSlam, and nobody cares because Brock Lesnar came back, reminding everybody that they are a bunch of bastards.
Yeah, I mean, on the Brock story, like we have had obviously a bit more since we recorded Spotlight on that. It's like hot potato right now. Nobody wants to take the blame for it. Like Triple H put the blame at John Cena's feet in the non-presser post the pay-per-view on Sunday, only for Cena to come on and go, "Nah, just play the cards that they deal to me. I do what they want." Him clearly not wanting to take credit for it, and then literally on Raw, you've got like, despite the fact that like it's like I'm living in a simulation. Lesnar came back as a heel and took out John Cena. However, we had on Raw like the commentary team going, "Oh, Brock Lesnar just needed to come home, and he's back." And Nick Khan and Triple H were the ones who spoke to him to bring him back. So apparently they want the credit. And then you've got Triple H today speaking to ESPN talking about it again. Like he's dropped the Cena line now. Apparently, yeah, it was just time. Brock does what he wants, I think was the quote from Triple H today, which is not a quote I would want to throw around when it comes to Brock Lesnar with the allegations that are out there, but quite funny that Cena left him high and dry. Didn't want to. He's thinking of he's thinking post December, isn't he? He's thinking about his Hollywood career. He doesn't want the stink of that attached to him either.
Well, he will tell everybody how he still loves Vince. So
yeah, that is true. He's careful with how he words it. He words it in a way that is plausibly deniable, and it's not going to stick to him too much. But he's always going to be careful.
Yeah, everything about that is just like we're seeing a lot of people like show that how little they care, how little they want to like think during. They want to just turn their brains off. They don't want to have to think about bills. They want to think about kids. They don't want to think about their real life. They just want to turn their brains off and watch wrestling. It's very similar to how people deal with like how politics kind of inches into the sports world every now and again. And they're like, get the politics out of here. I'm just trying to watch sports. And that's just not how it works. Yeah. I'm sorry it's inconveniencing you that the company brought back somebody who was brought up by name. Was it? He was brought up by name, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember the first time it was just.
Yeah, it was the amended complaint.
It was an amended complaint. Yeah. So I'm sorry that, we're harshing your high right now, but this is, this says a lot about the company. And if you don't, you got to be a grown up and have grown up discussions. And a lot of people in pro wrestling media show that they don't want to and aren't capable of it.
Yeah. Simon says there, like the verbiage behind it. Yeah, he's come home. Like it's just, it's horrible, isn't it? It's a horrible like way to look at the world, and it again, it begs the question why. And I guess we know the answer as to why. But Triple H being interviewed on ESPN, you'd hope somebody would follow up with, okay, so he's back home now, and Triple H. I think Triple H said something like, and the fans weren't expecting to see him again. Well, so Paul, why were the fans not expecting to see him again? Like, there's so many obvious follow-ups there that just don't get asked, and the company don't get pressed on, and like that's why they're so brazen about it. That's why they know and think they can get away with it. Like, yeah, Walter says here the Trump stuff as well. Like that again, they've been it's the company we all thought they were. They're the MAGA company, but like they're actually leaning into it now. Like clearly, yeah, there's been a directive of like, yeah, we'll actually acknowledge the fact that Trump is a WWE Hall of Famer, and we'll show Triple H in the White House, and also we'll bring Brock back, and who knows what's next. Like we joked about it on Spotlight, not even joked about it, like outright believe it's going to happen at some point. Vince is going to walk through the door, and it's going to be the same PR tricks. They're going to explain it away the same way, and they're going to have that same attitude that, well, fuck you, Vince is back, what are you going to do about it? Like, I feel like stupidly 6 months ago I would have said, oh, it's probably unlikely he ever comes back. Like, yeah, more fool me. I think that's what's coming next.
It's the mainstream don't really care. They expect this out of wrestling. I think it was Yolanda brought up the story of how like Vince McMahon, told police officers, like, I'm in the garbage business. Like,
Yeah.
they
Like he's Tony
expect
Soprano.
trash, you know, we'll be
Mm.
trash, and this is what we deal in. And it's unfortunate to see when so many people are working to, like, clean it up, but,
Mm.
you know, it just is what it is. They're above it all. They just got, what, 350 million a year or whatever it is from ESPN? Doesn't matter. They're above it.
No.
It's disheartening, but
No.
you know.
So who they are and who they've always been, and that's the kind of the thing we've got to kind of accept. But thank you again to Rory in the chat there with another super chat. So yeah, it was just a general chat for support talking about the potential cuts. But yeah, I will get over to Melbourne at some point, mate. I'm sure that's coming. I'll get you a couple of pints back after Hackney as well. But yeah, I mean, there's not much else you can say, obviously, on the Brock and WWE front. It just, again, if you're supporting the company at this point, you know what you're supporting. Just go in eyes wide open. It's the same with UFC. You know, that's who you're supporting. TKO is the company behind both, and yeah, they've never operated with a moral compass on the UFC side. Look at what happened with Dana White. Like that, how many weeks did it take for that to just go away? You know, he was on film, you know, slapping his wife. It's always surprised me that, like,
ahead of his slap fighting company starting.
Like those headlines wrote themselves, didn't they? Like, and they managed to. Dana White was important enough for them. They worked their way through it. Like, and they've always had that attitude with the UFC. It hasn't really bled into WWE, but it's clearly there now, and that's the culture behind it. That's what's so horrible about bringing Brock back, because there are going to be people out there going, well, what's Brock been accused of? And it's like, well, like I say, his name comes up 44 times in a sex trafficking suit. But even if that's not, you know, enough for you, like it's the. A few people put it like, well, this week on Twitter, it's like it's the culture behind it, and the Janelle Grant side said that it's the culture behind WWE. It just shows that, like, there is no reconciliation, there is no learning from what came before. There's even the Triple H quote from last week talking about Vince saying, you know, well, allegations are allegations. You know, like, just shows you it's the exact same company that's in the exact same state it was before. No lessons have been learned, and yeah, they're not even, like, you know, putting the best face forward and pretending that lessons have been learned. They're just pretending it's not there, and that's the MAGA playbook, and it seems like it's been fully adopted on the wrestling side as well now.
And just one thing on Triple H, just what he's so pathetic. Like he's the guy who wants all the credit when everything's good, but then when someone trips up, he will find the first person to throw under the bus. And that is it's just pathetic. Like, the ego on this guy, you know, you do a whole, you know, show, which I haven't watched, about how, you know, he comes up with everything, you know, he's the, you know, the brains behind the machine. And then the second something goes wrong, well, it was John Cena's idea. You know, it's The Rock's fault. Sorry, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
you sort of hard to see it. You're saying, like, obviously, the mainstream media always see CWB is inherently silly, not worth of a serious response or analysis. That's why they get away with this stuff. That's it. You know, Platt saying there opens the doors for indies to try it, seeing Jimmy Havoc and Joey Ryan. I was going to mention that, trying to literally sneak back this week. That's just the world we're in, and it all trickles down, doesn't it?
And you know, they got enough heat to pull Joey Ryan. I think the indie that was booking Jimmy Havoc also said we're not booking him, but you know, they didn't stop him from trying. You know, and
it's all testing the water, isn't it, to see what they can get away with there. Yeah, you're sort of saying there on Triple H, he's been executive for 20 years with no media training. Yep, and somehow he still keeps throwing himself out there in the public. That's what he does.
It's God. The day he gets canned, I'm just gonna I'm gonna pop champagne. I don't even drink. But
yeah, that's the thing. They tried to present him like he was Dana White and WWE Unreal, but Dana White, he is not. Like, the first chance that comes up, or there's an opportunity for Rock and friends to slide in, Paul Levesque will be out on his arse. I want to say quick. We want to move on to AEW, but quickly before we do, it feels related, even though it's not. But it was a room full of gobshites. Did you see the Bam Margera thing today from Hogan's funeral, where apparently he'd seen a cloud he saw a cloud that looked like Terry doing the full Terry pose. That just shows you. But like Flair did a tweet, didn't he? Where it was like, it was a who's who, like Ric Flair. Like we've been joking about it on Spotlight. Like, this is like the AI death. Like this is like the peak of AI has come at the same time as this Hogan death, and you get all those images of like Hogan and Andre and all the lads in heaven, all in the wrestling gear, having a great time. Like in Ric Flair's mind, that's actually real life, because like literally his tweet about the funeral was like, all the stars were there. I was there, Vince was there, Linda was there, fucking Dennis Rodman was there. He's just listing all celebrities, and anybody who's like, not got the right amount of fucking Twitter followers doesn't exist in Ric Flair's world. But to me, like, he put that tweet out like it was something to be proud of. I was like, that's just a list of fucking terrible people, to be honest, mate. I think that's just a list of, you yourself included, a lot of people I would not want to be in a fucking room with. I'm not exactly the biggest Brooke Hogan fan in the world, but fuck, it feels like she did the right thing, skipping that thing. Jesus Christ, what a gang that looked like.
Good Lord, a shower of bastards. Just
yeah.
It's and speaking of those AI images, it's just very funny seeing all those people who probably hated Hogan, and in depth, it's just, hey, they were all friends. They all definitely like.
Imagine
Randy Savage didn't punch Hulk Hogan in the face before WrestleMania 9. That never happened.
Imagine you died and like you wake up in heaven and it's like you're in your work clothes, you've got like a fucking shirt and tie on, and the only other people there are your fucking work colleagues that you used to work with in 2005. It's like, I know you were barely born, mate, but Jesus Christ, like that's fucking like that's basically what these people are pitching. That's how they see it. Saying that, obviously, if anyone from my work is watching, I love you all, and I'll be back soon. I think there's maybe the families or who those wrestlers would rather hang around with than their fellow wrestlers. But there we go. That's just me. But on that note, we should switch gears to talk some AEW while we've got you, mate. As like I say, AEW Truth, just like me, been loving the content AEW been getting out this year. Loads of positive to say about the actual shows. We've got another great looking Dynamite coming tonight as well that maybe we can touch on as well. But obviously the elephant in the room, and we like to talk the hot topics here on GRAPPL Live that's been going around today, is the image behind us. What is going on with the Hurt Syndicate and Speedball Mike Bailey? And also to the point, like, if these stories are true, and they seem to be, Fightful backing up the reporting today as well, that MVP has some kind of problem with Speedball Mike Bailey. Like, you've just got to ask if anyone who's been around Speedball Mike Bailey has got the same take on it. How? Like, it's like somebody said today, it's like the CM Punk and Jack Perry thing. Like, you can understand CM Punk melting down. You can understand maybe him punching Matt or Nick Jackson in the face, but Jungle Boy, really? That's who you start the fight with? It feels a bit like that. It's just like, all right then, fair enough. Like, and I know it's obviously, we can joke about like the story itself, and if there are legs to it, but I know it's something you've talked about before, like the idea of these ex-WWE names coming into AEW, and I think Hit the Bricks is the quote I've heard from you before with they come in with their the big ideas and the big time in AEW talent. I don't know what's your take on this one today, though, until WWE ESPN was very much front of house for most of the wrestling media.
I feel like if I asked anybody, what do you think MVP thinks of Speedball Mike Bailey? If I asked them that like Sunday, they would think, he probably thinks he's a dork. And now we just have confirmation of that. Like, yeah. Like, what does MVP think of this 5'8" karate guy with a mullet, like, who wrestles without shoes on? And he's probably like, yeah, you probably think that guy's a dork. So it's just like the news of it didn't really surprise me at all.
And you can see it on the TV, can't you? When it comes to like that program and stuff. Like, I don't know what your take on it is, but like, I thought Speedball, especially when he came in, and Kevin Knight both felt like up-and-coming stars who felt exciting, who felt like they were breathing blood into the roster. Teaming up. They look good as a team. The gear looks good. They've got good offense. They look great as a team. But something about it has made them feel a bit lesser than, and I think that something is how they've looked when they've been in any angle, segment, or match with the Hurt Syndicate. Like, yeah, as well as going, I probably would have expected MVP to believe that. It doesn't shock me that, like, yeah, the Hurt Syndicate don't see these as guys that are worth their time, because they haven't felt worth their time. It's felt like the odd time where they have got the upper hand on them. It's been it very fleeting, and it's been something that's obviously something they haven't wanted to do.
Yeah, I was tolerating that program because I figured, okay, they're gonna beat them down, but if Jet Speed beat them at the pay-per-view, then it'll all be fine. And then we got Christian and Nick Wayne, and then Cope showed up, and then they didn't win. And then it's like, oh, okay. So that definitely doesn't help the reputation. Like, the whole Fightful story was, like, the first line of it was that the Hurt Syndicate were, kind of balking at the idea of doing a job to FTR. Which is very interesting to me, a story about FTR leaking to the media. Wonder how that happened. But
well, Matt Coon's been tweeting today. I don't know if that gives anything away.
Oh, there you go. But I mean, just coming at it from the Hurt Syndicate perspective is like, part of it is I don't feel like this would be an issue, as much of an issue, if they were putting on 4-star bangers every month on pay-per-view. Fact is, they haven't. They've been, if not the worst match on every show, the second worst. And it's not that the matches are bad. They're just not notable in any way. So their work not rising to the level doesn't help any of this. But at the same time, like, nobody really has weight to throw around in AEW right now. Like, looking at, like, the week-to-week houses, they aren't back to, they aren't super strong. They're building back up, and they've pivoted to the smaller buildings, which I do enjoy. I enjoy a different look. I enjoy the different feel. They compact those places out, and it feels energetic. I'm really looking forward to the ECW arena residency they got coming up, because they're setting it up like ECW with, like, the ramp. I don't know if you've seen the ticket map, but they're setting it up with, like, the little corner ramp like ECW used to do, which
love that. Credit
to Tony on that. Shout out.
He's been there, hasn't
he? Yeah,
he's lived that.
But back to the point. Yeah,
in fairness.
God, imagine Shad Khan walking into that building. Jeez,
that's a supported dad. I was going to say, like, obviously, like Yuzora says here in the chat, like, to your point, nobody has the power to walk around AEW like 1992 Hulk Hogan. Like, I get that, and it's funny, like, because I think my general rule in wrestling, I'm a low-key fan, so I like Bret Hart back in the day. I like Shawn Michaels more, but I like Bret Hart too. I like guys who take it seriously. I like guys who it matters to them, whether they're winning or losing, that it matters to them what they do in the program. And I think as a general rule for wrestling, I think that's actually better. They just think it's better when the guys are like that and they take it seriously and they take themselves seriously. That doesn't mean, though, you can't analyze the ins and outs and the positives and negatives to when it does happen, and whether they're just, the individual wrestler is justified in saying what they're saying. And again, that's where I think, I think it's open season 4 criticism, because, like, the story coming out that they weren't willing to put over Mike Bailey, but they are willing to put over the Outrunners. Like, that's a red flag, is it not? Like, really? They want to put the Outrunners over, or they're not willing to put FTR over. Like, that's again, whether that's come from certain places or what the truth is there. Like, if that is true, but they're a Top Flight, I think was a Private Party. That was the name they launched around. Like, as it, like, again, maybe that's just one of those. Oh yeah, we'll lose to them, knowing that the company go, well, we're not having you lose to them, because they are not in a position where you could lose to them, and obviously very much not in a position now where they could lose to them. Like, that's where I think you can analyze it at that level. Like, I'm all right with wrestlers taking themselves seriously to a point. You don't want a Miro problem. You don't want a Malachi Black problem. You have to keep these XWB guys in check to a point. But it's whether they're right about it. Like, even, for, again, the other example, Lashley beating Swerve. In principle, that's okay, as long as Swerve gets his victory the other side, and, at some point we're building to that match, and it's at some point we're having just Lashley walking straight back into WWE with a win under his belt over Swerve. Like, there are a lot of caveats to that, but broadly, I'm all right with it as long as it's reasonable and as long as the company themselves, like, you know, knows that there are wrestlers like that, but keep them in check, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Shelton has done business. Like he lost a couple times in the Continental Classic. He lost, you know, he takes pins. Like like he doesn't seem to like,
as he should at this point in his career.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And Lashley, I get protecting him because he's the big bruiser of the group. He's the money of the group. I get that. But at the same time, like you guys were an act in like the worst era of WWE ever. Like you were the one good thing in it. You like, well, you got pushed, but you weren't in a position to draw because it was COVID. You know, like, you know, we're running on the idea that there's more to you than WWE provided, and if you're not gonna, like, I understand protecting yourself, but if you're not gonna do business, then it's like there's a point where it's like, what is your value add? Because you're not adding to the pay-per-views. You know, Shelton Benjamin's had some very good TV matches, but you know, you don't bring these guys in and pay what I'm assuming you're paying them for good TV matches, you know? So it becomes an issue of what do you add versus how big of a headache are you beginning to cause?
Yeah.
And it just, the vibes are not great. My assumption with the FTR thing is that MJF was going to cost the Hurt Syndicate the titles and help FTR win them. That was my thought going in. Maybe that still happens because those belts are eventually going on Cope and Christian at in Toronto. That's what I'm assuming.
Presumably what they're headed to, isn't it? Presumably why the conversation came up about, you know, FTR potentially beating them at whether it be at an All-In or it be at a Forbidden Door. Like Yuzora makes the point there, absolutely. Like I think that's my line in the sand. Every wrestler should try it. Every wrestler should mostly be out for themselves, but you'd like to hope there's a bit of leeway there. But the company, Tony Khan in general, you know, that should be the ones who are going, okay, yeah, you might want that, but this is actually what we're going to do. You want that kind of line in the sand. I think it should be give and take there, I suppose, is my point when it comes to wrestlers like throwing the weight around. And I think for me, I'm a little bit probably higher on Hurt Syndicate in AEW. I can't argue your point about the matches. I think the overall entertainment value of that group, like I've mostly enjoyed it. Like I say, mostly from a TV point of view, like point taken on that. But I think they've been worthy of their time. It's just there becomes a point where everyone's got that tipping point, haven't they, where it's like, okay, at this point, like if you're not even willing to put FTR over, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? What's the next step here? Like, what can we possibly, like, if that's the line in the sand, it becomes like a Malachi Black situation, doesn't it? Where it's like, well, might as well not have it on telly then at that point. Like that's always got to be a consideration.
There was the line at the end at the end of the report where it's like, you know, they're heels, but they slap high five with everybody and they're, you know, getting their chant over. And it's like, well, that just tells me they should be baby faces. And
which they were weirdly for that was going to be my other point. They were for a while because somebody said that today. They should have turned earlier, and I was like, turn which way? Because I'm actually not. Because I've just kind of felt like this whole heel turn with MJF is like you say, it's like a holding pattern to do something with FTR, or it's a holding pattern for even like now where they're doing like the dissension thing. That to me feels like a red herring. Like at least the first couple of weeks, I thought it was a red herring. Maybe it's real now. I don't know. But like I thought, like they were playing heel or they were trying to be more like MJF to kind of lull him in, or there was going to be some kind of explanation why they were basically acting like babyfaces for a while and then all of a sudden they were heels. Maybe this story is an explanation for it, but you're right, yeah, when they were babyfaces and the fans were loving them and chanting along, which they do anyway, now that they're more solidified as heels, that probably was the best possible way to present them.
Yeah, my argument was don't fight the tide with them. Like they're over, they have a chant, they look cool. Like, yeah. I was just like, hey, put them against heels and let's see what we got there. But then we got the MJF stuff, and however that all shakes out. Like,
it feels like there's a disconnect there. Like there's been some kind of change of direction, or there's whatever disagreements are happening backstage just showing themselves on TV, because it's just not been it doesn't feel like a very well plotted or laid out story. It just feels like we've hit and fast forward on that one all of a sudden.
Wow, MJF in a not very well plotted out story. How's that happen?
Big ideas, can't quite execute them. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
like our Max. Feuding with the entire roster. Yeah, I'm sure there's no problem with that. That's him all over. But yeah, it's a wild story. I mean, like you already said earlier in the chat as well. Yeah, we say that about Speedball Bailey being such a nice guy, but yeah, sure, we've all not gotten along with nice guys in the office. You'd actually need a good reason. Maybe MVP isn't usually quiet. Maybe he'll come out and explain, what the exact reason is. Maybe he just doesn't really like karate. He's just like, nah, that's not for me. He doesn't like the stupid moonsault onto his knees stuff that the Speedball does. Maybe he's got grapple Gareth. Gareth's never been a fan of Speedball Mike Bailey. Maybe that's part of it as well. I should say we've got some questions that have been thrown in. That was one of Gareth's. He asked, well, we've got 6 years of progress to catch up on. When can I expect to hear the year in reviews from me and you? Never, I think, is the answer to that. I don't see myself sitting and watching 6 years of progress.
I couldn't, with any confidence, tell you who the Progress World Champion is right now.
Shit, can I? Is it Luke Jacobs? I think it's Luke Jacobs.
I was going to guess sure. Gene Money.
No, I don't think so. Fuck, tell us. Is Andy in the chat? I think it's Luke Jacobs, and I don't know why I think that, but I'm pretty sure. I haven't watched a show myself in about 3 years.
I remember I remember the match I stopped watching Progress on. It was Super Strong Style 16 2019, I think it was. It was Kyle Fletcher versus Daga. The match wasn't bad. It was like a 3-star match, but there were like 4 shows in a row where nothing was like more than 3 stars, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like I tap out.
Yeah, Andy said in the chat, Luke is the champion. There you go.
There you go.
Hey. I'm still a Progress correspondent, unfortunately. Spend your money on Rev Pro. Zoya versus Zack Sabre Jr. That looks like a fucking match. I'm gutted I'm not in there in London, but I was jealous looking at you in Texas for All In, but I'm going to be even more jealous seeing everybody at Forbidden Dawn at those Rev Pro shows. They look great.
Hey, that night one, Global Wars with ROH. I really
no AW logo on it though. Like,
yeah,
isn't that interesting?
ROH though. I do. I like what they've done with ROH because I was at Supercard of Honor, and they've made ROH like the Forbidden Door kind of show. They've got the CMLL guys. They've got Rev Pro guys in there. New Japan guys will hop in there too. Like it's like I do really like how they've kind of rebranded things that way. They announced Bandito versus Hechicero for Death Before Dishonor coming up.
Yep.
That's a pivot that I think could be really positive for ROH. That's one where I can see people like going, oh, okay, I care about this. I was stumbling over my words because I was reading the story from Hogan about Travis Banks bringing his Progress World title to a vegan cafe in Birmingham.
I reckon I can say it now. It's been long enough. He used to DM me all the time. We used to do those Indie Corner podcasts.
Yeah.
Saying like, oh, you're totally right, guys. Like everything you're saying about the way the booking me as champion. Like he'd be agreeing with us saying that the booking was fucking crap.
Yeah, because he booked him like shit.
Yeah. He won But then I do think the more we know about him, it's like maybe he was trying to. He was probably saying that to all the podcast boys. He was probably trying to, just
also a bastard.
Like one of those
bastards. Bastards can tell when they're being booked poorly.
Yeah, Rory says Oku tweeting the ROH logo. I maybe could be. I don't know if he's. That was our guess. If losing the Rev Pro belt meant that he was head to the ROH, maybe that'll be formalized. Maybe that'll be part of it as well. Like you said, Ben. Like yeah, I was with you. I was shocked that they were announcing matches already for this ROH pay-per-view coming up. It just made me think it was this week. I was like, shit, I need to update the show notes for the weekend show and add the card to it. Only to find out it was still 2.5 weeks away. Shows you there's more of an investment there. And Oku's someone who you could. If ROH was a real thing that was really promoted and really booked as its own universe, Oku would be perfect for it. I love Michael Oku, like great bloke. He's done interviews with GRAPPL and amazing talent. Him and Leon is going to be a shout for match of the weekend on that weekend as well. I'm not sure about putting him on AWTV right now. I'm not sure where he fit. ROH though is like a flagship guy. Like if that was a real promotion with real backing. Yeah, I'd do that. Absolutely. That's the type of guy who could flourish. You can't justify like giving him 15 minutes on Dynamite, but you can absolutely justify giving him, something on ROH.
And ROH has been doing that with like a lot of the guys in the mid card. Like the main event of one of the recent TV shows was Bandito versus Adam Priest, and Adam Priest had the Workhorseman with him, and it's like, oh, okay, they're like doing things with like, they're doing things with like top indie guys. Like it's very interesting, and I can see this being something where it's like, okay, this is the vision, this is what we've got, and if this version of ROH, I can see this like. If it gets on TV, I can see people really being like, "Oh, this is what they're doing with ROH now. I can get into this." So hey, those conversations continue.
People watch NXT by fucking choice, I think there's enough of us sickos out there that will watch ROH by choice. Like, I can bring back my old ROH t-shirts, bring back my ROH hat. I'd be fucking made up to be proud to be an ROH guy again. You don't get many ROH guys out there these days. ROH should be on a network, Rory says here, like NXT. A network would have to want it first. That's the thing, isn't it? It's chicken and the egg.
They did want it, but CW did want it, but Tony was just like being loyal to WBD while they were in their negotiating period. I think if they came back now, we'd obviously jump at it because I don't think they have that exclusivity anymore. But all they need is an hour somewhere and to get paid. Like that's what he's kept this alive for. That's what he keeps trying to do. He's trying to get another revenue stream in.
And he threatens to rebrand it, doesn't he? AEW Ring of Honor or something like that.
Yeah, because I think the AEW name would help. Like Dave Meltzer was saying that the day he bought it. Like, I do think that would help. And, I can see this being a version of Ring of Honor that people get interested in again. I mean, I don't have Honor Club still, but, I'm hearing good things. I'm getting closer to getting Honor Club than I was when it was just the bottom 20% of the roster doing squashes.
Gareth hasn't got Honor Club, so that means I haven't got Honor Club, unfortunately. But my money only goes so far while I'm out here. Dale asks on the over there on the Patreon, who's our MVP been of the G1 so far? Who's been standing out? Don't know if it's any of the young guys. I think was it you? I actually think I saw you tweet out that today that like they just fake it till they make it with some of these guys. Like even if they're crap, even if they're not behind them, just pretend they're behind them. I agree. Like I don't know what the B block's like a logjam now, isn't it? Apparently, where it's like there's 3 different people on 10 points, and then there's everybody else is mathematically in contention. They're not letting anybody really stand out or lap the field right now, but from a kayfabe and non-kayfabe point of view, so it'd be tough to pick someone else.
Both the blocks are like log jammed. Of the 5 G1 matches I've watched, Konosuke Takeshita's been great. He has been in all of them, but
it's Takeshita, isn't it? Of course,
like that's Gato's booking. It's been his booking to like keep it close, and now they've got the 3 spots, so everybody's really got a shot, but that only works if there are like stars and like upset stories you can tell. They got to get to a point. They have to like rethink their style where they have to like create stars now. They got to create that separation. They've got to create that like that tiering on the roster that they used to have, but they don't have now because now you've got everybody in, and it does amp up the drama for the last the last night. But it also makes everybody feel like they're in this mid-card blob. Not mid-card blob. They're just in this blob where nobody's like standing out. Nobody's being booked to look stronger than anybody else. And that's hurting you. You got to have the drama be who gets the bye. Have the drama be, hey, 5 guys are up here. 5 guys are down here. Who's going to get in? Who's going to get the bye? You got to make steps to remake your stars because, you've got just a glut of guys in front of like 1,500 people who are apparently all in House of Torture t-shirts, which is why they're still around, I guess. So it's just, you got to do more there. You got to do more. You got to just pick a guy, I say pick Tsuji. He feels closer than anybody. Yuya's not far behind.
Yeah, Connor's saying he's been great. He has, from what I've seen, Yuya has been very good this tournament from a performance point of view.
I mean, you look at Oiwa, how he was killing it in Noah during that like year he was there. He comes back and he's just like, all right, you're like the third heavyweight in TMDK. Like, no, you gotta like go. Come on. Like, you're not in a position anymore where you can like wait to develop these guys. You gotta like, you know, Naito being gone and the effect that's had on the attendances this year has been like, that should be the note where it's like, we've got to pick somebody and we have to just go. Like,
apparently on Naito, this might be a scoop. I'm not sure. Joe's currently in Japan. I was hoping to join him, but it hasn't worked out. I'm not going till October. But apparently, he met a guy who said he knows Naito, said he's going to AEW. So watch out, and that could be happening soon.
Can't say I'm looking forward to that, but hey,
wouldn't shock you though, would it?
Maybe
he could be an ROH guy. Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Naito, ROH TV champion. There you go.
In the t-shirt. It could be a thing. Yeah, and Takeshita could be the guy too, obviously, but with the split contract, I think they're only ever going to go so far with them. But that makes me positive that he's in the running, you know, and that like potentially like they're going to at least have him go through to the semis.
As a fan of Takeshita, I would like to, you know, him being in the Wrestle Kingdom main event does interest me, but it doesn't feel like, I don't feel like that fixes the problems with New Japan. Like, you know, he is a young guy, but he's also signed to an American company. He's also got whatever deal he's got with DDT where he's sticking around there. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like, hey, we've solved the problem. It feels like, hey, this should tide us over for another 6 months.
And we'll crawl along. That's pretty much it. Andy asks here on the Patreon, do we expect Eddie Kingston back in AEW anytime soon? Obviously he's been training, it looks like, from his Instagram stories. I saw him he did like an interview where he talked about having like achieved a lot of his dreams and kind of kayfabe laden because it's Eddie, talking about how he's not sure he's good enough to beat the current crop of guys in AEW, talking about how, you know, he's achieved a lot of goals. He did the G1 and I was like, did he? Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember that happening.
He beat Kenta in Corrigan Hall for like the strong title. Like, there you go.
I'm wondering if hand on heart whether before I saw him say that, or I would have remembered. But of course, great moment to have. But yeah, I assume. Everybody expected them to be part of, obviously, the Moxley story. It's not too late. Once Moxley gets done with Darby, that could be, you know, rather than doing what everyone expected at All In when you were there, expecting, you know, Darby to come out and then Eddie to come out and it to be like that. I think maybe if Darby, once the Darby thing is dealt with and Moxley thinks he's, you know, out of the woods or he's about to move on, that's when you bring Kingston out, I presume, in that universe. But it all depends on Kingston, doesn't it?
Yeah, them continually bringing in Gabe Kidd tells me, like, okay, they're setting it up for Eddie to come back because it was Gabe that took him out. My thought is like blood and guts, because you had the Death Riders take out Samoa Joe, so you could put the Ops in there. You had him take out Ospreay, and Ospreay said in his promo where, hey, I broke my neck. I'll probably be back for Forbidden Door though, so don't worry. He said he was going to go for the Death Riders. You got Darby. You know, maybe Eddie gets in there as well. Like, I don't know how the numbers will work there, but it does feel like they're building up to blood and guts, like a men and a women's one, because on Collision they had like a 5-on-5 like stare down.
Yeah.
So my hope is that they don't do those on the same night. Like they should learn from the Casino Gauntlets. Like, let's maybe do one. But
it feels off as well. Like, obviously it's still a few months away, but it feels like WWE are already setting up for that. Like WWE are already thinking about, okay, we set Roman and the lads up on this side, and then we've got the other side with the Seth Riders. Like, this wouldn't go to being later in the year. It's like, let's get it over with. Let's do it before we get to War Games with WWE. I can deal with 2 in a month. I can't deal with 4.
They're doing a couple big buildings AEW for these next couple pay-per-views. So maybe Forbidden Door there's one, maybe All Out in Toronto there's one.
That
I
would make
wonder.
sense.
I do wonder.
Yeah. But yeah, women's
But
blood and
yeah.
guts would refresh the format as Hogan says there, and yeah, have the men do Anarchy in the arena instead. I'd be fine with that.
The women's
100%.
plunder in AEW. AEW, the women's plunder company. You know.
Nah, it's been a formula that works for them, isn't it? In general, but there we go. That's the end of the questions we've got there. Unless there's anything else you wanted to mention, Suit. I've just been checking if we've had any updated news on WWE making untold millions. The only thing we've got is quotes from Nick Khan talking about how he doesn't understand why any human would leave an out of office on their emails. He's a fucking robot. That's why he's saying that. He doesn't like when people say they're tired. That's another Nick Khan quotable. I mean, there's more interesting things I would ask Nick Khan about. Interesting, though, he does, in this interview, apparently note Chris LeGentle by name, saying if you call Chris LeGentle at 3 a.m., he'll answer first ring and say, hey, what's up? That doesn't shock me either. That LeGentle activity won't do itself.
Yeah, how else are you going to monitor? How else are you going to monitor everything?
Hi, Chris. Thanks for watching. Good to see you out there. But, yeah, no other breaking news on that yet. Like I say, we'll wait for the Diddy financials and talk about that on weekend show and stuff. But no, appreciate you coming on to explain, helping, like I say, be our ESPN correspondent to explain how all that works and what the real effects are going to be. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more that we'll find out in the coming days about the deal and the other goings on behind it. But like you said, number looks big, so let's celebrate. They make an untold profit, so isn't that what really matters at the end of the day?
Yeah, let's, if you're a WWE fan, all you can hope is that this inspires them to, I don't know, maybe push somebody new, or we could just do Seth Rollins again.
Give Roman Reigns a new
T-shirt again. There you go.
Always a possibility. Hogan, yeah, he's just putting out of office on off to Liverpool in 5 days. Good stuff. Wish I was there, mate. But sadly not. But yeah, anything else you'd like to say, Suit, or anything you'd like to plug to throw out there? People might be able to find your work. I put Voices of Wrestling and other places. But you still doing the stuff from page for F4W?
No, and then my the subscription I got for writing for them ran out. So
man,
that sucks. But I needed my Saturdays back. But I do still write for them if they ever need somebody to tag in. I'm still in their Slack, so
They at least give you free access to the message boards. Like, surely is that even still a thing? Is the board still a thing?
Yeah, it is. It's redone. It doesn't look. It's like redone again. So there you go. That's actually how I found out. My subscription ran out because I tried logging onto the board and it was like, "Would you like to subscribe?" And I'm like, "Uh-oh."
There are kids out there who were too young to remember Brian Alvarez being the message board poster. Like, don't let him fool you, folks. I'd say professional veneer. He's about as professional as we are sometimes, but the professional veneer that he's a grown man now, isn't he, with kids and stuff? And obviously, Observe Alive is doing good numbers at all kinds. But I remember the real Brian Alvarez. I remember those flame wars with Bix on that message board and all kinds. It comes out every now and then in his audio, but yeah. Used to be a great and fucking awful place, the F4W board. But that's most message boards, isn't it? Was there ever really a good message board? Still love them all the same.
I missed out. But voicesofwrestling.com. I do all sorts of reviews and previews. I have my own blog, suitwilliams.com, where I do kind of other like watch projects. I watched and reviewed every WrestleMania, including this year's. So if you want to check that out, you can. I am currently doing a 1997 retrospective called As Good as It Gets. I just watched the Final Four match with Brett, Vader, Undertaker, and Steve Austin. That was part of the latest batch. I would check what's on the next batch, but that's on my other computer. So I think there's a Liger match. I just did a couple Liger matches too. So yeah, check that out. Suitwilliams.com. I try to update it at least once a week. If I'm not too busy, I can do twice a week, but once a week I try to get something new on there. And I'm on all social media at Suit Williams. I've got that name pretty locked down. So there you go.
Follow Suit everywhere is available. Thank you again, Rory, for another super chat. Thank you very much, and thank you, Walter, as well. But yeah, always great chatting to you, mate. And like I say, we'll have you on again coming up in the future. You can explain some more American sports to us and give us the inside track. But yeah, that progress review, people might be waiting a few more years for that. We will do like the 10-year anniversary for both still going, both still podcasting. Maybe at that point we'll do that. We'll do it. Maybe when progress dies, we'll just do a recap of all the final few years.
How far away are they from 10? They can't be that far. Oh man, they can't be that far from 10.
10 from the last time we recorded. I think the past 10 as far as shows go. Yeah, I think that might be this year. Something like that. Scary times. We're all getting old.
Good lord.
Good. Oh, well, I won't put you through that, mate. We'll do Red Pro or something like that. But no, thank you for coming on. Always great chatting to you. And like, yeah, everybody follow suit wherever you can find them. Cheers, man.
Take care.
Good man. Well, on that note, I will wrap us up again for another GRAPPL Live, unless anybody's got anything else out there. But yeah, hopefully people enjoyed that. I don't know if JP is going to be back for the weekend show this week or not. I should get in touch with him and find out when that is. I think he's having too good a time sunning himself in Turkey out there. But if he's not on, I'll find a replacement for JP, and we'll have a weekend show, and we'll talk of whatever other news comes out, whether it be WWE financials, obviously our normal Dynamite review, and all of our normal stuff over there as well. But yeah, unless there's anything else, like I say, Sunday we will be doing myself, Liam, and Matty, and we'll be obviously going back to 1991, looking at WWF UK Rampage, and that should be, I'd say, a fun one, a nostalgic one. It obviously bleeds a few different things. UK 1991, kind of a bit of Hogan in there as well for us to cover as well. Don't believe JP will be on, but yeah, maybe we'll get GRAPPL Charlie for that one, as Simon says. Maybe he can come on. Rory saying there, yeah, great chat with Matty about SummerSlam. Again, do think that was a great show this week. But yeah, looking forward to chatting with Liam, and obviously we'll have another episode of the time coming. And I believe the Retro Boys are in fact recording, if I can see right in the StreamYard, another, I think maybe double episode. I don't want to promise too much, but at least 2 episodes of Retro should be coming soon enough. Yeah, Platt saying there, JP's got his out of us reply on. Nick Khan would not stand for that. He would not be a fan. What day is weekend show, Andy's asking? I assume Friday. I know for a certain JP isn't back tomorrow, so if JP is on, it's Friday. And if I can't get JP, probably still Friday. That will probably suit me as well. There we go. Yeah, Rory saying Matty seeing the light finally, as we've moved them on. Saying that Matty might be perfect for weekend show this week. He did say he's going to be watching Dynamite every week, so yeah, maybe I'll call that in as well, as Christ intended. Friday weekend show, as Simon says there. But yeah, if there's nothing else, like I say, all that is coming up. All the rest of our August shows will be coming as well. All kinds out there as far as our back catalogue goes. If anybody is new out there who hasn't checked us before, but like I say, we do have plenty coming up. The AJ Styles deep cuts, phenomenal. Again, last call for any matches for that. Let me know if anybody's got anything they'd like me to add to the sickos list. WWF UK Rampage, GRAPPL lads with Matty and Gareth is coming up this month, as well as Simon's King of the Mountain pick that's coming up. But yeah, if you want to get involved with that, patreon.com/GRAPPL, youtube.com/@GRAPPL. And yeah, we always appreciate it. Throw us a like, throw us some support, subscribe to us here on YouTube if you don't already. But yeah, we'll be back for the weekend show on Friday, I hope, and then that show on Sunday, and then Spotlight next week. But thank you, YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I will catch you all again on the next one. Good night.